Hello WB explains Humankind 04. The cities German is in the corner where you'll find all series videos. In each video I cover one part of Humankind. I hope it's clear and concise for you. In this video, the topic is cities, specifically about construction in cities, about construction projects, which resources are produced there, how to use the population, and how to assign them jobs. In short, the foundation of a Humankind game is managing cities to make them flourish and gain prosperity and power. Let's take a look at this example. You already know it from the previous video. Press Shift and F10 and you can make the game world appear or disappear. Cities often become quite large and rather confusing as the game progresses. A little tip from me, down in the bottom right corner right here where I'm moving the mouse. Can you highlight the districts? That's a good way to stay organized. The production districts are marked in red, white are all possible general specialty districts, luxury resources, and so on. Green is for farming districts, blue for research districts, and yellow for markets. It's really highly recommended to enable this option if you want to manage your cities well. If we click on the central city tile with the mouse, specifically on the city name, all the resources currently being exploited by the city and its surroundings will be highlighted, the terrain tiles here. You can also display the other resource requests by clicking on this symbol at the bottom left. However, they are not being used. This is already a relatively advanced city. Cities originate from outposts. You establish an outpost, and over time it gradually becomes an outpost. Then you click on it and say, I spend culture, that is influence points, to turn it into a city, and later you can merge cities into megacities. I cover that in another video on influence shown in detail. Here the focus is on city construction projects. What are the resources in a city and how do you exploit them? If you look here, you'll see that you can always place districts around the central city tile. That's it. That means if we take a district and want to build it, for example another farm district, then we have to place it on one of the white highlighted spaces. Those are general rules, almost always ones that are already next to another district or next to the central city tile. That means if this here is the main tile, the headquarters of the city, then you can place a district next to it, or you can place it next to one of the other districts. When the cities get a bit bigger and there are several territories, meaning when you've added several outposts to a city and thus created other administrative centers, then the best way to find them is to extract some resources from the map, then activate the city and display the names of the regions. Up here is one such administrative center, and here is another administrative center. You can build districts here in the center of the city, and from here you can also build in all the other territories and use their resources as well. That means I can then build districts in this administrative district. The construction is carried out up here, and the resources, the production points that I need for that. The city attracts people from all three connected territories. I can build districts up here, down here, and here. Resources from all combined below, which is the basic rule. If you look at the very top, at the citizens and the resources they manage, you'll see four typical resources: food, industry, money, and science. All four resources are available at the start of the game. Later on, there will also be virtual resources in the game. These are faith, and that's influence. Influence is the value down here, that's the star symbol. Faith becomes available to us once we've founded a religion, not before. For both influence and religion, you can probably guess, there are separate videos. I don't want to overload it. And there's only one stability value, it's shown here, and it affects how many positive events can happen in this city. Again, random events will pop up on the map here. It also depends here. So if the value is very high, there will tend to be a lot of positive events. If the value is really low, there might be more negative events. The city might even rebel. And all the values in between, from 30 to 90, basically don't matter. It's all pretty much the same deal, and you'll get the same results. There's also a separate video on the topic of stability. Good guess, very nice. We'll take a look at how citizens, as well as districts and buildings, generate these resources. On the right is the list of construction projects. Click the central city tile or city name and this interface appears. On the right side you see 4 construction projects you can do, or 4 categories of construction projects, with the shared projects at the very top. These are world wonders or holy cities. You can build holy cities once you've founded a religion. World wonders are unique and unlock gradually. You use influence points to claim something, letting you build it immediately so no one else can take it. And then you place them at some point and build them for both types of projects. This applies to the stone circles, which is what holy sites are called here, as well as to the world wonders. These are joint projects of all the cities in the empire. You can tell a city, for example, I'm building a holy site in the territory of that city. I'll demonstrate this. Click on such a holy site and place it anywhere on any terrain tile, for example here. It appears here and in every city. I'll use these arrow keys to go to the next city. Here too, you can simply click on the holy site you placed over there and move it forward with the left mouse button. It's now being built here too, and overall construction costs are lower. You can build one of these world wonders or a holy site in each city, or just work on a part of them. You can temporarily remove them from build queues, delete all stone circles, holy sites and world wonders in every city. It doesn't matter. The moment you start building again and place it once, the construction will resume, and the previous production yields that went in will, of course, be fully credited again. These are those joint projects. I'll go back one step. Below that, there's the category of districts. I build those locally here. I've already shown how to place them. That means you take a food district, a farmer's district, or a smith's district. You place it somewhere, let it go, then it appears here in the build queue as it applies here. If you want to build something immediately, these are the build queues. Simply drag and drop it all the way to the front. If you change your mind, just click here on this trash can, and then the district will be deleted again. Below that, after the districts, there are the infrastructures. These are buildings that are placed on the central city tile, which means only on the tile of the city's headquarters. These are buildings whose yields are usually not as powerful as those of the districts, but which can also generate yields. Here's an example. With the animal barn, you can generate 1 more food on each farming district, and sometimes you can also add effects that scale with each other. For example, a farming district only gets extra food from one adjacent farming district, even if several are nearby. There are tons of these I boost each other effects with Humankind, and a central theme or a main joy in micromanagement with Humankind is that you really tinker with exactly that, with those kinds of details. These are districts, puzzles, and on top of that, you try to pick out the right central city buildings. And at the very bottom, there are the units, which are usually military units, sometimes also civilian units that you can build. They always require, you always need 2, sometimes even 3 things. For them, you definitely need a certain one. Let me bring that forward. A certain amount of production to create such a unit. You also need at least 1 citizen point, which will be deducted after construction is finished. That means a citizen disappears. The city has had no citizens from the start. When founded, a city often has 0 citizens, so you can't produce a unit here either. For some units, you also need certain strategic resources separately, like 1 copper or 2 horses, or 2 horses plus 1 copper. They don't need to be here. It's only important they're somewhere within our territories, or that you import them from another faction through international trade at the time you carry out the construction. Strategic resources aren't needed for maintenance during vacation. The last, less important category is public ceremonies. That's an ongoing construction project. It's only meant for when you've built everything and don't know what else to build. Then there are projects with small yields, just so you have something to do in such a city. In practice, this almost never matters. You can, to get a good overview, collapse these individual items by clicking on these arrows, and then you can display only what you want to look at right now. Additionally, if you want, you can also filter using this drop-down menu that's available here. For example, you can say you only want to display content about food, money, or other specific topics. There are also filters here, letting you view only districts or only buildable infrastructures linked to these resources. or switch to all and then move between main categories. Then there are two tabs at the top. This is the entry for what you can build, the build entries on the right, and next to it, the things that have already been completed. Here you can see all city projects, meaning all central buildings that have been built on the city tile at some point in the past and are available here. The districts are not listed here. You can move everything left or right at the top of the build queue and also cheat to speed up construction. Usually, things are built using production yields, which is the industry total shown up here. That takes a certain number of turns. However, you can always spend money to speed up construction projects. You can either do that from the start, and up here it shows the amount of money needed for it, but you can also speed up buildings or units that are already under construction by investing a slightly reduced amount of money. That can often be useful. For example, a little tip from me: if an important construction project is almost finished and only a few production points are missing to complete it. If unsure and you can afford it, spend a few bucks so the building is available for immediate use. After a construction project finishes, leftover production points are usually carried over to the next project. You don't need to ensure it fits perfectly at the end of the turn. Unused production points will automatically transfer to the next construction project. There's another way to speed up construction projects. This isn't available in the game at first, it unlocks later. That's forced labor and sounds awful. You can sacrifice citizens to speed up construction projects. A concrete example up here, for instance, if we click on the animal pen here, you would need, for this it's not ideal here, but I'll find you another example from... Just a moment. I'll bring this up for you, the holy site as well. There you can see that we could sacrifice 54 citizens in this city to complete the stone circles. For other projects it's much less depending on cost. That's almost finished, that's just one citizen. Others that are already partially completed or aren't as expensive require 10 citizens. Having many citizens can help speed up construction projects. However, I would think carefully about that, because the citizens are of course gone, and the citizens also contribute to your yields. But it can be necessary in certain situations, either in an emergency or when you have overpopulation. If you want to take a look with me at the top under the cities, it says 23 out of 25. That means there are 25 jobs for citizens in this city. Jobs are primarily created by the central main squares, which provide jobs as a small base. However, most of them are actually created through the districts. Each district provides a certain number of additional jobs, as do some of the central city buildings. It also mentions they offer one or two more jobs. If the number on the left exceeds the one on the right, like cities having 26 or 30 out of 25, then that's what happens. 5 citizens that you have to feed with food but who are of no use. If surplus and overpopulation get too large, they can also cause negative effects in the game. That only happened when it really clearly exceeded the number of available jobs. You can use the citizens, so you shouldn't just sacrifice them recklessly all the time. You usually assign them to jobs. The jobs are managed in the top left, and there are these 4 categories of jobs: food, industry, money, and science. You can't have citizens work for influence points or for faith, only for these 4 main resources that exist in the city. You can move citizens from one job to another by dragging and dropping. For example, if I hold this unit here, I can move it somewhere else if there's still space. You can move multiple citizens at once, go right to left, shift left, park them, drag them here and move them. If you try to move more people than allowed, only one will be moved automatically. If you have a lot of citizens, only a maximum of 5 will be displayed here, and the first citizen is usually a pack of 5 or a pack of 10, or whatever. That means this pin, this little figure, symbolizes a higher number of citizens. The program itself starts in the cities with this drop-down menu, and with the top line, enacted policy, which means right from the start. Once a city is founded, the city actually manages its citizens automatically and sends them where it thinks, where the program thinks they are best suited. My tip, after founding a city or after taking over a city, definitely go here first and check if the citizens are really distributed the way you want them to be. I prefer playing by selecting expert policy from this drop-down. The 4 numbers above, city growth, economy, public, technology, each set a focus, meaning a priority for the AI. Then it says, for example, this one definitely maximizes technology, the research citizens, or maximizes those who are supposed to go into production. If you click on expert policy, then the 4 symbols below become relevant and they are read from left to right. That means the program follows the guidelines here and tries to send all citizens into production first. Then put the surplus into research, then into food, and so on. You can also click these to set and rearrange your priorities. Such a setting only applies to the city itself and not to other cities. That means if you are in another city screen, there might be a different setting there. You can move it back and forth as you like, whatever you think is smartest. The citizens also consume food, and food yields are generally shown when you hover the mouse over one of the symbols. At the top row there's a detailed tooltip. It shows you how these resources are generated, in what way, and how they might be consumed. How the whole thing works here. Part of it comes from the districts, from the buildings, and part from the citizens, but there can also be additional effects that play a role. When it comes to food, the rule of thumb is the first citizen in the city consumes 8 food, and each additional citizen after that consumes a bit more. Any other ideas? It's a curve that gradually gets steeper. That means the more people you have in the city, the more each new citizen has to eat to make sure they don't starve. The food bar gradually fills, and here it's full. Then a new citizen is born in this city. Food isn't brought in from other cities, it's produced right here on site. Please don't be alarmed if you see a negative food balance at the top. It lights up red, and then you often get startled because it seems really terrible. If I don't pay attention now, they'll be gone next round, even after all my effort nurturing them. Usually, it also takes several rounds before such a negative balance turns around. If a citizen is gone, it takes time for the negative rounds here to pass. Sometimes you can just wait a little longer, think it over a bit, and then usually take care of the issue in the next round. The main point about the 4 resources is that I'll explain stability later. Oh, and one more very important thing. How are the districts developed? How do districts use resources? I've already shown you how to place districts. You click on a district and you place it. But look around this city, the main tile, and also around the city center, you'll see that more icons light up on these individual tiles. The city citizens not only use the resources generated in the districts, but also the other resources that are within 1 tile distance. Not those 2 tiles away, only those 1 tile away. And there's a rule of thumb for that. When you've just founded a city, if there's only a single tile, just the outpost, just the city, just the administrative district. And if there isn't a district next to it yet, then all the yields adjacent to that city will be used. That means all 4 types, food, production, money, research, whatever, will be used within 1 tile of distance. But as soon as you place a special district next to your city, like here for example, you'll see in the tooltip what happens here. Here for example, 9 production yields are generated and 3 food yields are lost. This means the program checks how the tile has been developed so far. This has been developed so far. I think it was this one up front through Stonehenge, but I'm not sure. Let's check. I'm more certain about this one. Antja. You can see this well here. Such an administrative district develops the various resources around these fields. For example here 3 science and 2 food. If I now place a farming district on this field, the science points that are normally here would disappear. Only 2 science points would be generated here. Only the 2 food points are used and additional food points are generated. However, that's because it's a special district that generates extra food. possibly also due to synergy effects, since neighboring districts contribute as well. The program always checks each of these tiles around a district or around an administrative district, what districts are nearby and which are directly adjacent. And if, for example, it's just an industrial zone that's next to such an empty tile at a certain distance from the city, if there's only an industrial zone nearby, production points will only be taken from there. Is there an industrial zone and a farm district somewhere around this tile? Yields from both will be collected. If a research district is adjacent, all three resources may be gained on this tile. And if there's only a general administrative center, a general main square or whatever on it, then all resources can be used there. And the art and the joy of puzzling is figuring out which district to place where and how to do it. Here's a little tip as well. It can be a very effective strategy to look out for whether there are such clusters or subzones in a province. Click this symbol to display it best. Where there are a lot of food yields or a lot of production yields right next to each other. For example, if there are rocky deserts or similar things, you can consider them early. I want to expand in that direction, maybe place several industrial districts next to each other, for example. Industrial districts boost each other. That means if you have them in pairs or clusters of 3, they give each other extra yields. So building triangles or polygons of such districts can be a very, very smart strategy. There are also special districts that get unlocked when you have a certain culture in this era. You already know that from the culture video I did earlier. Each culture also always provides you with a special district. And they always have special abilities. For example, there are special districts that give every district around them a special bonus, or they benefit themselves on their tile from having an adjacent district. With some districts, you put them in the center, these special ones, and build others around them. There are also many exceptions. For example, you can build harbors on the coast. Here are some placed, and these harbors, for instance, benefit from market districts next to them. You can't place market districts right next to them here. Instead, you must build them extending from central city districts. And there are many, many special cases like this. I'd like to point out one special case to you, the military districts. These are garrisons that get unlocked over time. There are also different types of them, and you can place them anywhere, though here, for example, you can't place them yet. Let me see if it's possible here at White Citadel. I was in the adjacent territory, so I couldn't place it here. You can place them anywhere here, and that way you can generate spawn points for units. These tiles offer extra defense. More details will come in a military video. But in addition, they also offer the possibility to create spawn points, points of origin for units. Normally, units you produce always appear on the central city tile, or for ships, naval units appear on the harbor tile. Additionally, you can also say maybe I have a neighbor right on the borders. Just to be safe, I want to always have the option to produce and deploy military units right up there at the borders. You could place such garrisons right at the border, and once they're finished you can click on a symbol there. There's a little person icon you can see. When you click on it, you instruct the city that the military units you produce should appear right up there in the middle. That's not everything about cities, because it's really very complex. Especially the topic of stability is very important, and the topic of influence in cities is also a very important thing. There will be later videos about that. I hope you continue to have a lot of fun with Humankind, and see you very soon. In the playlist, you'll find many other videos on this topic, and depending on when you're watching this, just a quick note. If I may, I've added a community discount code here where you can get the game cheaper. You likely already own the game, but maybe you know someone, a friend, sibling, or acquaintance, who's still interested. Check the text description of this YouTube video for a tip. There's a legal shop where you can buy the game cheaper with my discount code. It has an expiration date shown there, so when you watch the video, it might already be expired. Enjoy Humankind, see you soon.